Very good evening and welcome to News Tonight on Sabha TV, where we bring to you the biggest news stories from across India and the world, with special focus on Parliament proceedings which have been a near washout as winter session comes to a close. All that and much more in this bulletin. Let's begin with the headlines. Rajya Sabha passes the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Bill 2014. Amended bill increases reservation for them in public sector jobs, education institutions, besides imposing penalties for discrimination. Both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha adjourn on the issue of demonetization. Opposition demands discussion on allegations against Union Minister Rajya. Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi alleges personal corruption by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, claims he has detailed information to back his charge. BJP calls allegations baseless and laughable. And no takers so far for planned evacuation of people from bombarded areas of eastern Aleppo. Despite ceasefire between government troops and rebels, several parts of the city were shelled on Wednesday. Top story, Rajya Sabha today passed the Right of Persons with Disabilities Bill 2014 with many amendments. Well, this bill seeks to increase the categories of disabilities from the existing 7 to 21 to enable differently abled people to avail more facilities under various schemes. Now, with over 2.68 crore or 2.21% of the population, the bill is expected to empower differently abled.
Question is that the bill as amended be passed. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those against, please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The bill as amended is passed.
After days of stalemate on the demonetization issue, the upper house finally passed the first bill in the winter session of Parliament. The House unanimously decided to take up the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Bill 2014 during 0 hour. The bill complies with the UN Convention on Rights of Persons with Disabilities.
विधेयक के माध्यम से हम निशक्तजन व्यक्ति अधिकार को और ज़्यादा अधिकार देने जा रहे हैं। अभी तक निशक्तजनों की 7 श्रेणियां हैं। इस विधेयक के पारित होने के बाद 21 श्रेणियां हो जाएगी और
नाम नहीं,
शारीरिक, मानसिक, बौद्धिक, आर्थिक दृष्टि से विकास के इसमें अनेक उपाय किए गए हैं।
The bill seeks to increase reservation for disabled persons in public sector jobs from the existing 3% to 4% and reserve seats in higher education institutions. The amended version also recognizes disabilities due to acid attacks and Parkinson's disease. Persons with at least 40% disability are eligible for reservation in education and employment and preference in government schemes. It also provides for imprisonment for at least 6 months or up to 2 years, along with a fine ranging between 10,000 rupees and 5 lakh rupees for discriminating against differently abled persons. Members across political spectrum lent support to the bill and urged the government to fill all vacancies for persons with disabilities and sensitize the public towards differently abled.
By passing it, we are not only fulfilling an international obligation, we are fulfilling an obligation to crores of citizens of our own country. A very modest estimate is that 5% of people in India suffer from some form of disability.
डिसेबल की परिभाषा को और सरल कर दीजिए। नंबर 2, डिसेबल को जो सर्टिफिकेट बनवाना पड़ता है, वो सीएमओ पास जाएगा, तमाम जगह जो सर्टिफिकेट बनवाने जाएगा, उस चीज़ को भी आप देख लीजिए, उसमें बड़ी परेशानी उसको होती है।
इनके साथ में व्यक्तिगत रूप से पिछले 30 वर्षों से जुड़ा रहा हूं, इसलिए मैं ये कह सकता हूं कि इनको डिसेबल कहना भी ठीक नहीं है। ये डिफरेंटली एबल लोग हैं, इनके अंदर कैपेबिलिटी वो है जो हमारे अंदर नहीं है, इसलिए दे शुड बी कॉल्ड डिफरेंटली एबल।
Even though it is generally the conditions of the bills are good, there are in many places government has brought in amendments which will curtail the rights of the disabled. That is my fear.
The reservation here is 4%, is given for these people, has been given at 4%. Sir, I would request you to make sure that none of these vacancies are left unfulfilled.
In September 2014, the bill was referred to the Standing Committee on Social Justice and Empowerment. Of the 82 suggestions, 59 were incorporated. The bill will now go to Lok Sabha and once cleared, will replace the Persons with Disabilities, Equal Opportunities, Protection of Rights and Full Participation Act 1995. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, also in the Rajya Sabha, the opposition parties demanded a financial package to provide relief to cyclone-hit Tamil Nadu on Wednesday. Well, the opposition claimed that demonetization has added to the woes of the people in Tamil Nadu in this hour of crisis. The government, however, assured that appropriate steps would be taken to help the cyclone-ravaged state.
Cutting across party lines, members urged the government to take immediate steps to help the cyclone-distressed state of Tamil Nadu. Raising the issue during 0 hour, CPI MP D. Rajya asserted that Cyclone Vardha had killed several people, disabled communication lines and brought the transport system to a halt. Rajya urged the government to strengthen the National Disaster Management Authority.
Many parts of the Chennai city and several districts remain in darkness. Electricity needs to be restored. At the time when people are passing through unimaginable miseries because of the decision of the government on demonetization, this is adding to their miseries and sufferings. In such a situation, the state government itself has asked for 1,000 crore rupees from National Disaster Relief Fund immediately. The centre should come forward without any delay to help the state which stands affected.
Congress's P. Chidambaram urged the government to ensure that ATMs and bank branches in Tamil Nadu are replenished so that people can withdraw money. The MK's Tiruchi Siva also claimed that the tragedy has been compounded by demonetization, leaving no cash for the people to buy ration.
I compliment the government for positioning the NDRF in advance. I also compliment the government for making available army columns for rescue. What they have done is good, but more needs to be done. The first thing they should do is respond to the government of Tamil Nadu's request for financial aid. I know governments ask for more, central government usually gives less, but immediately the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister must consult each other, and today they must announce a package of financial aid to the state government. Point one. Point two, I'm not diverting the subject to another pressing problem, but take my suggestion seriously. Make sure that the ATMs and the bank branches are replenished in Tamil Nadu so that people can draw their own money to them.
The commercial loss is estimated to about 8,000 crore and no shops are open and people are not able to resume to normalcy, sir. So the central government has to send an expert team to assess the losses due to the cyclone.
Members also demanded that crisis management teams be sent to Tamil Nadu to assess the damage.
I would like to request the government, central government send immediately a team and see
your
the health sort
I have to take the bill.
I have only one short suggestion that the National Disaster Management section of the ministry here should send a crisis management team to Tamil Nadu because Tamil Nadu has never faced this kind of thing. It's an all-round devastation.
Leader of the House Arun Jaitley responded to the concerns raised by various members and assured the House that the government would take necessary steps to alleviate Tamil Nadu's gloom.
And as has been pointed out, some anticipated action was taken in advance. The NDRF teams were there, army columns were there, and rescue and relief immediate operations were carried out. And therefore, I've heard the suggestions of the honourable members and I will take it into consideration, and whatever needs to be immediately done, I will certainly have a discussion with the concerned people in the government and we'll take the appropriate steps.
Cyclone Vardha that hit the Tamil Nadu capital on December 12th was the most severe in 2 decades. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
And the upper house today saw frequent disruptions over allegations of corruption against MOS Home Kiran Rijiju. Well, opposition protests led to the adjournment of proceedings in the upper house. Take a look.
As soon as the upper house cleared the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Bill 2014, Congress MP Anand Sharma raised the issue of corruption allegations against MOS Home Affairs Kiran Rijiju. However, the deputy chairman disallowed it, saying that rules had not been followed for raising the matter in the house.
I have given the notice, sir. Please, sir. I have referred. No, I am not making any allegation. I am referring to the CVO report, which has pointed out that there has been abuse of office.
No, that you cannot raise now.
And
you give notice and give. You give notice and give, other you cannot. No. Allegation without prior intimation to the chair cannot be allowed.
Amidst the din, Leader of the House, Arun Jaitley, refuted the allegations against his cabinet colleague.
Kind of hit and run politics can't do. Let him raise the issue and let him wait for my reply on the issue. We've examined every fact. The allegation made by the Congress party is totally false and fabricated. There is no allegation whatsoever. I'm willing to, I dare you for a debate on this.
See,
an MP just forwarding a representation. This is the allegation.
The opposition, though, continued its protests, leading to adjournment of the proceedings for the day. Vishal Dahiya, Rajya Sabha TV, Delhi.
And question hour was disrupted in the upper house on Wednesday as the opposition tried to corner the government and levelled allegations against MOS Home Kiran Rijiju. Well, the chair urged the members to allow question hour to function. Well, as the appeals went unheeded, the chair adjourned the house till 2 p.m.
You cannot have two personalities at the same time. I'm sorry about this. I fail to understand this. No, it is not. Listen, this is question hour. Please ask a question if you have one.
And in the Lok Sabha, the issue of demonetization continues to stall proceedings. Well, the opposition also raised the issue of an alleged corruption scandal involving Minister of State for Home Kiran Rijiju. The Lok Sabha was adjourned till Thursday, just an hour after convening amid slogan shouting. The Lok Sabha on Wednesday met after 4 days, but the scene was no different as the lower house failed to transact any legislative business amid continuous uproar. As soon as question hour began, the opposition trained its guns on the government on the demonetization issue and the alleged involvement of MOS Home Kiran Rijiju in an alleged scandal. Opposition members from the Congress, the TMC and the left parties were on their feet, with some members from the left also trooping into the well.
Regarding note bandi, we are always ready for a discussion. We are always ready for a discussion. They are holding up the discussion. They are coming in the well. They are walking out. Actually, when we are talking about note bandi, there is no jugaad from the Congress party.
The disruption forced Speaker Sumitra Mahajan to adjourn the House till noon.
House stands adjourned to meet again at 12 o'clock.
After question hour, Congress leader Mallikarjun Kharge raised the issue of inconvenience being faced by people due to the ban on 500 and 1,000 rupee notes. In response, BJP leader Jagdambika Pal accused the Congress of supporting black money hoarders. The speaker tried in vain to maintain peace in the House. With the protests continuing, the speaker adjourned the House for the day.
The House stands adjourned to meet again on Thursday.
Lok Sabha has seen a virtual washout since the winter session started on 16th of November, with both the opposition and the government trading charges on the demonetization issue. With Pranav Goswami and Ravindra Shioran, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. And a united opposition came down heavily on the NDA government today, accusing it of not allowing the debate on demonetization to take place in the lower house. Well, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi alleged that he has detailed information about personal corruption by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The government, however, refuted all the allegations.
I have information on the Prime Minister that is going to explode his balloon. And I am not being allowed to speak in the House. So I would request the government to allow the entire opposition to speak in the House, because he owes this country an explanation. And he cannot keep running away from the House. He cannot keep running away to pop concerts, to public meetings.
Flanked by leaders of other opposition parties, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi came down all guns blazing against the Prime Minister on Wednesday. His allegations of corruption against the Prime Minister was supported by leaders from the TMC, NCP and the Left Front, who accused the government of not allowing the demonetization debate to take place in the House.
Parliamentary democratic system is now going under threat.
only to resist that Rahul Gandhi will not be allowed to speak, and for which whole ruling party is opposing to run the house smoothly.
16 parties has come together against this demonetization. See that the Prime Minister is accountable to this Parliament. He is an elected Prime Minister. And we, the MPs, are accountable to the people. We know that the Prime Minister is not ready to come in the Parliament. He has the time to visit almost all the nations, you know.
सरकार की तरफ से ये प्रयास हो रहा है, ये साजिश हो रही कि किसी तरह हाउस नहीं चलना चाहिए और नोटबंदी को लेकर जो विपक्ष एक बार यूनाइटेड होकर ही एकजुट होकर जो सारी चीज़ों को सामने रखना चाहता है, देश के सामने रखना चाहता है, लोकसभा के माध्यम से उसको रखने नहीं दिया जा रहा है.
The government, however, refuted the allegations and blamed the opposition for the deadlock inside Parliament.
Till today, he was not ready. He was not ready to face the Parliament. He was not ready to speak. And he was not ready to make any earth-shattering revelations. Now, under the desperation and frustration, he is making such false and baseless charges.
Both the government and opposition parties are locked in a stalemate since the beginning of winter session on demonetization. It has led to repeated adjournments in both houses, leading to very little work being transacted in the session so far. Vishal Daya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And now continuing with our series of ground reports, post a banning of 500 and 1,000 rupee notes, while demonetization is likely to have an adverse impact on the Rabi crop. Well, the main reason being that farmers are finding it difficult to buy seeds and fertilizers as they have no cash. Our correspondent Shyam Sundar finds out how farmers in Odisha's rural areas are coping up. Take a look.
There are over 55 lakh farming families in Odisha. According to state government figures, nearly half the rural population does not have access to banks, so they are being served by banking correspondents. But it is not as easy as it sounds. This customer service point in Puri district's Ramchandpur Panchayat serves about 60 villages. People sometimes have to walk 15 to 20 kilometers just to get here, and sometimes they return empty-handed.
नोटबंदी का बाद 8 तारीख के बाद 2,500 का लिमिट है. 2,500 डिपॉजिट कर सकते हैं, 2,500 विड्रॉ भी कर सकते हैं. अच्छा, जमा भी सिर्फ 2,500 एक ही दिन में. पहले 10,000 था. जो नॉन केवाईसी जो था उसमें 10,000 था. जो केवाईसी आधार कार्ड जो जिसमें दिया हुआ है वो स्पेशल ओडी अकाउंट है. इसमें 20,000 का ट्रांजैक्शन एक ही दिन में हो पाता.
The post office in this village serves about 20 nearby villages, but there's usually a long wait to withdraw money.
जरूरत होते तो हमें साखियोबाड़ अकाउंट ऑफिस में कैश मगाऊ.
तो वहां से जाके
हाँ ना अकाउंट हमारा बैग राउस कैश बैग रनर नहीं राउस. डाका रनर नहीं राउस.
The cooperative society in the village is closed for now. That's because neither can it buy crops from farmers nor give out loans to them.
काम धान तो बिक्री नहीं होता है, पैसा तो नहीं है, क्या करें?
पैसा नहीं मिल रहा है आपको?
नहीं
कि हम लोग को अभी धान मैंने अमल करने का बाद घर में रखेंगे या नहीं बेचेंगे. बेचने जब बेचेगा तो हमको परेशान आ जाएगा कि हमको पैसा ठीक से नहीं मिलेगा ना, इसलिए हम नहीं बेचेंगे अभी.
In rural areas, there is a lot of confusion over demonetization. The way things are, people now say the problems arising from the decision will take a long time to solve. Shyam Sundar's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
On to some other news now. Well, wholesale inflation plunged for the third straight month and fell to 3.15% in November after restrained demand due to demonetization led to softening of prices of vegetables. Now, the wholesale price index-based inflation in October stood at 3.39%. The wholesale price index inflation in vegetables stood at minus 24.1% in November. Overall, the food inflation basket showed moderation with inflation at 1.54% in November as against 4.34% in October. Meanwhile, the fuel index rose by 7.07% in November from 6.18% in the previous month, while the inflation of manufacturing items also firmed up by 3.2% in November from 2.67% a month ago. And India on Wednesday said that it is ready to engage in further consultations to end differences over the Indus water sharing row with Pakistan. Now, India's response came after the World Bank asked both the nations to consider alternative ways to resolve their disagreement on the dispute. Well, the World Bank earlier said that it will temporarily halt two simultaneous processes to look into the Indo-Pak dispute over Kishanganga and Ratle project. Well, the World Bank's move to pause the process came nearly a month after India had strongly objected to the global body's inexplicable decision, saying that going ahead with the two separate mechanisms was legally untenable. Well, under the Indus Waters Treaty and dispute signed between India and Pakistan, the World Bank has a specified role in the process of resolution of differences.
The government had pointed out on the 10th of November the legal untenability of the World Bank launching two simultaneous processes for appointment of a neutral expert requested by India and establishment of a court of arbitration requested by Pakistan to adjudicate technical differences between India and Pakistan on Kishanganga and Ratle projects. By temporarily halting both the processes now, the bank has confirmed that pursuing the two concurrent processes can render the Indus Waters Treaty unworkable over time. India remains fully conscious of her international obligations and is ready to engage in further consultations on the matter of resolving current differences regarding these two projects.
Let's get you some more national news. Let's go nationwide. Two terrorists were killed on Wednesday in Anantnag and Baramulla districts in separate encounters with security forces in Jammu and Kashmir. In Anantnag, terrorists opened fire on a patrol party of army. No army personnel were quick to retaliate, triggering a gun battle. A terrorist identified as Basad Ahmed Dar was killed. Dar had recently joined the Hizbul Mujahideen outfit. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal got a boost with the Supreme Court saying an elected government must have power. The apex court said while hearing an Aam Aadmi Party government petition on Delhi's statehood issue. Now, Kejriwal has challenged the High Court's ruling earlier this year that Delhi Lieutenant Governor was the administrative head of the national capital and therefore had the last word in governance. Well, the matter will be next heard on 18th of January. Indian diplomat Anjani Kumar has announced at the high-level pledging conference in the United Nations that India will contribute $5 lakh to the UN Central Emergency Response Fund. Now, India's cumulative contribution to the fund so far has been $6 million. Now, CERF provides early funding when humanitarian crises break out and supports essential relief operations that are poorly funded. Well, now let's get you some international news. Well, there were no takers for the planned evacuation of people from bombarded areas of eastern Aleppo in Syria. And the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said that government buses had been brought in, but no one left the stricken city. Now, a ceasefire between the government troops and the rebels was declared in Aleppo on Tuesday. But several parts of eastern Aleppo were shelled since morning.
Syrian government forces on Wednesday renewed shelling on the last holdouts of rebels in eastern Aleppo, despite a ceasefire agreement to allow civilians and rebel fighters to leave the besieged city. The ceasefire brokered by Russia and Turkey held overnight but resumed in the morning, with Russia claiming it to be a response to the rebel attacks. Russia said it expected rebel resistance to continue for the next 2 to 3 days.
Надеюсь, что за 2-3 дня окончательно решится ситуация в Восточном Алеппо, где нами созданы гуманитарные коридоры, по которым десятки тысяч мирных жителей уходят оттуда, уже вышли оттуда.
The renewed fighting has delayed the planned evacuation of civilians that was due to begin Wednesday morning. Turkey has blamed the Syrian government forces and other groups of trying to obstruct the evacuation deal, even as the rebels blamed Iran for the holdup. France, on the other hand, urged the United Nations observers on the ground to manage the process.
Dışişleri Bakanımız takip ediyor. Milli İstihbarat Müsteşarımız aynı şekilde takip ediyor. Hala takip ediyoruz. Bir netice alır mıyız diye. Tabii sahadaki durum çok kırılgan ve karmaşık.
The UN on Tuesday said it was not involved in the evacuation plans but stands ready to facilitate the voluntary and safe evacuation of civilians.
History will not easily absolve us, but this failure compels us to do even more to offer the people of Aleppo our solidarity at this moment. The immediate task is to do all we can to stop the carnage.
But as forces close in for a complete victory, fears for the thousands of trapped civilians has increased as the rebels make a desperate last attempt to defend their territory. Allegations of civilians being executed by government forces have also come up. The UN Human Rights Office cited reports that at least 82 people had been killed while fleeing or in their homes in the last few days.
We are now, and what we worry about ourselves, that maybe the genocide will happen in the coming days if nothing will stop them in the coming hours. In the coming hours, maybe SS forces will advance more on the ground and they capture.
Eastern Aleppo has been held by the rebels since 2012, but a major government offensive backed by Russian air power in recent months has almost driven the rebels out. A complete control over Aleppo will be the biggest victory for Syrian forces since the upheaval to overthrow President Bashar al-Assad began in 2011. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And the tension between the United States and China escalated on Wednesday, with the US saying that it is ready to confront China if it continued its overreaching maritime claims in the South China Sea. Well, head of the US Pacific Command warned China that it would not accept Chinese control of the region despite Beijing's rapid development of artificial islands over the past 3 years. In response, the US has conducted a series of freedom of navigation operations in the South China Sea. Now, China, in a response, called on the United States to respect peace efforts in the South China Sea, saying that the situation was currently stable in the region. Now, China claims most of the resource-rich South China Sea. Now, neighbors Brunei, Malaysia, Philippines, Taiwan and Vietnam also lay claims to the region. Earlier this year, an arbitration court in The Hague had invalidated China's vast territorial claims in the strategic waterway.
I'll echo Secretary of Defense Carter when he says that the Indo-Asia-Pacific region is the most consequential region for America's future. This fact alone makes the U.S.-Australia strategic alliance more important than ever before.
我想当前在中国以及南海有关国家的共同努力下，南海的局势正在趋于稳定，向好的方向发展。
Time now for all the sporting action in Sports Beat. The Supreme Court today deferred hearing in the BCCI versus Lodha case to Thursday. Earlier, Supreme Court dismissed BCCI's plea seeking a review of the Justice Lodha Committee recommendations, which had stressed on large-scale structural reforms in the body. The verdict, which was initially supposed to be delivered on 5th of December, has already been postponed twice in view of many pending cases before the court. 5 times world champion Vishwanathan Anand played out a draw with Wesley. So in the 5th round of the London Chess Classic, Anand needed a win against unbeaten Wesley to keep his title hopes alive. But a draw has almost ended his hopes as he's now tied at the 6th place with Anish Giri. In the English Premier League, Everton ended Arsenal's 14-game unbeaten run with a 2-1 victory on Tuesday. Alexis Sanchez's free kick gave Gunners the lead, but Seamus Coleman equalised for Everton. Now, Ashley Williams then struck a header in 86th minute to give Everton a much-needed win. And Bayern Munich forward Robert Lewandowski has extended his contract with the German champions by 2 years to 2021. Lewandowski joined Bayern in 2014 from Bundesliga rivals Borussia Dortmund and was the league's top scorer in the 2015-16 season. That's all in this edition of News Tonight. Thanks for watching. Good night.